Hey there everybody, Rye here, and welcome back to some more Loren, the Amazon Princess. So we just recruited Mesfit permanently, I think, but we have to return to the village in order to really confirm. Doesn't look like a lot of them have things to say. Oops. Stupid context-sensitive mouse. How are you handling Mesfit? Ray glared at Saren for a moment before responding. Well, thank you. Is something the matter? You've invited my worst enemy to bed with us. Instead of ridding the world with him, I must now watch over him like a child. Excuse me if I'm a little perturbed. I know my decision doesn't sit well with you, but I'm asking you to accept it. Just tell me, why? Because I think he can redeem himself. He's a murderer! So are you. Ray clamped his mouth shut. Mesfit didn't kill your parents. Your order to assassinate him is over. You are now teammates. Loren and I expect that you will respect that. I am a professional. I will start acting like one. I'm sorry. Though he apologized, Saren knew that Ray would continue to not tolerate Mesfit's presence. It works. Mesfit glared at Saren as he approached. He flexed his jaw. You've allowed me to live. Why? You're not our enemy. I am. I am part demon. I've hungered for your death before. I am sure I will hunger again. Oh, really now? Saren eyed Mesfit, considering what he said. If our roles were reversed, I would not have let you live. You would be a burden to keep and a danger to let go. My decision would have been quick. But our roles aren't reversed. I stand by my decision. Mesfit hissed. I've turned my back on my brothers in the desert to become a prisoner to Empire dogs. I'd rather be dead. What did you call me? The Dark Elves have not forgotten the injustice the Empire has inflicted upon our kind. You are no better than the Forest Elves. I am a servant of the Amazons. I have nothing to the Dark Elves. A servant? A slave? You know true oppression, yet condemn me to a life with it? Excuse me? I'm bound to a tree at night. You speak of me as if I am not here. I cannot be trusted to be left alone, not even to bathe. This is not a life I want to live. Really? Probably one of the more interesting choices, I have to say. You know, Loren was obvious. Nymph was kind of obvious. Amiki was not obvious, but I'm not entirely fond of him. And Draco, eccentric. This is interesting. I wonder if it's going to be like Rammus, where I try to romance him, but he just shrugs it off. Maybe I should try it. Of course, it could be an actual romance, and then I'd be, like, committing myself to it. Why not? What about your father? Mesfit's hard glare softened at the thought of Tobar. You're alive for him and your people. You were once a freedom fighter. Is your movement over? No. He was quick to respond, the fire of his rebellion still alive within him. You have a lot to live for. They call me a monster. All I see is an elf in front of me. Mesfit's eyes searched Saren's face in silence. Neither found anything more to say in the unending pause, so Saren broke away. Oh, it is an actual romance! Okay, so Mesfit is a choice to romance. Okay, so there's 8 romance options for Saren. I'm guessing for Eleanor, who's the name of the female protagonist, there's also choices there. I have just committed to this. Did you really kill a forest elder? Mesfit stood up straight. I did. How could you? Were you under the influence of your demon blood again? No, the elder deserved his death. I acted for my people, not for the demon inside. I don't regret my actions. They were wrong, they were violent, but I regret nothing. You murdered someone but don't regret it? Why not? All pleas of my people were ignored by the forest. My father tried in vain to reach out to the elders and the druids. We've killed on sight in the front, and messengers we paid to enter on our behalf may as well have never gone. Not a word has ever come back. Neither did food or help of any kind. We were left to fend for ourselves in the arid sand just as they condemned our ancestors. The elders forced our hands. That elder forced me to kill him. How can you think that way? You murdered him. I don't expect you to understand. Then help me to understand. Since I have begun operations in the forest, I have kept my people fed and protected. I've given them exactly what they deserved. We even stirred the Elder Druid herself to visit us. They can no longer ignore us. Mesfit closed his eyes tightly and turned away. How did you come to be... Saren drifted off, unsure if a question about his demon blood would set him off or if it was pointless to ask. The pause allowed Mesfit to fully understand. He looked away with gritted teeth. Her. Who? Demon. She spoke truth to me. She understood everything and she wanted to help. Mesfit looked at his arms and tightened his muscles so that he could see his veins. It did help in the beginning. But you were no longer yourself? I was weak, like our ancestors. My father spoke about how he had become a stronger race than before. I proved that he was wrong. So the Dark Elves deserve to be ostracized? I know you don't believe that. I don't. It shouldn't matter. We are still living and breathing. We still need a home. That's like saying demons deserve a place in our world too. Demon, a word for an evil being. Dark, a word for the absence of good. Our words are our shackles. Your very language imprisons me. But demons are evil. Are they? Saren had no way to answer that. That was just an accepted fact. They had done so much evil across the world, and for no reason. You honestly believe that demons deserve our protection, our respect? Crime should be punished, but what makes a crime? Have you ever thought of that? But you know that we must fight the demons. Are you truly on their side? No. I am no friend to the demons in the East, but only because of the crimes they have committed, not for who they are, what they are. You say they are evil. Your idea of evil may not even exist. Saren shook his head. It was too much to even begin to consider. If the demons weren't evil, then why were they fighting them? He decided to break the conversation before it got any worse. Alright, let me just... What? I'm confused. What did I just do? Did I hit a button by mistake? Saren walked out of the camp and towards the neighboring wooded area. Mesfit was on the ground nearby, slumped against a tree with his hair covering his face. His hands were pulled back across the tree's trunk and tightly bound. Saren paused to take in the image of Mesfit tied up like a prisoner, the same way he paused every night when feeding him. He shook his head and continued. I brought you something. Mesfit didn't acknowledge him as usual, so Saren crouched next to the dark elf and revealed a portion of bread. Bread. The luxury caused Mesfit to look at the loaf to see if Saren was telling the truth, but even seeing the bread in his hands did not change his decision to ignore him. Saren sighed harshly. I've tried berries and meat, I've tried just offering you water, and now you're refusing even real bread? You'll die if you don't eat something. Mesfit was silent. Saren cringed, realizing that death might actually be the Dark Elf's goal. He pushed the thought out of his head and tore off a piece of bread and held it up to Mesfit's mouth. The Dark Elf sneered and twisted his head away. Eat some. Saren tried again to feed Mesfit, but he made it clear that he didn't want to be fed. I know you're hungry. Don't feed me like an animal. The outburst startled Saren, but it was progress. Mesfit pulled on his arms, testing his binds. His arms were stuck in place from a powerful knot, personally tied by Ray. But the movement drew Saren's eyes to Mesfit's wrists. They were red and raw. Saren stared at Mesfit for a while as he leaned back in defeat, facing away. If I untied you, would you eat? The indignation... God, I can't say words right now. The indignation in Mesfit's face lifted, but he remained quiet. Or would you run? Finally, Mesfit turned to him. Find out. Saren swallowed from the challenge, but to him there wasn't an option to refuse it. He had kept the Dark Elf alive, but not just to watch him starve to death. Saren kept eye contact as he leaned forward, reaching for Mesfit's wrists, his other hand creeping towards his weapon. After some work, Saren was able to untie the knot holding Mesfit, and his arm sprung free. However, he didn't immediately flee. Mesfit instead flexed his arms as if they were sore. Saren watched with one hand on his weapon. The Dark Elf looked at the bread on the ground next to him and then devoured it. He was indeed starving, so Saren relaxed from watching him eat. Just gotta adjust here. Stretch. When Mesfit was finished, he stood up, prompting Saren to stand up as well. Where are you going? There was a tense moment. Saren suddenly feared that Mesfit would escape and he would be blamed. Mesfit? Do not tie me up again. I have to. Because I am an animal. No, because you'll run away. Then a prisoner. Saren couldn't argue with this. Would you stay even if we didn't tie you? You've shown me no reason to stay. I've given you life. Isn't that enough? I should be fighting for my people. I should be with my father. You're too dangerous. I will use that to our advantage. I am a weapon for the Dark Elves. Then strike at Everburn for them. The demons in those mountains will destroy all elves, dark or not. You cannot fight for a people that do not exist. Mesfit growled and turned around. Saren jumped, about to lose him for good. Don't. You'll be hunted. I cannot spare your life a second time. If you want to help the Dark Elves, don't throw your life away. I can help you, but you must give me time. I'll arrange for you to be allowed more freedoms, trust me. Mesfit stood still for an excruciatingly long moment. The Dark Elf's hands curled into fists. Saren saw his tortured wrists more clearly now. You need a salve for your wrists. I can get you one in the morning. After another tense moment, Mesfit quietly retreated back to his tree. Wow. Crisis averted? I'd rather you thought of me as an animal. It would be easier to kill you. Saren acknowledged Mesfit's attempt to recover his dignity in silence as he tied the Dark Elf back to the tree. Mesfit looked as if his cooperation was making him ill. Saren secured the knot against Mesfit's wrist, but made sure not to make it too tight to injure him further. Tomorrow, then. That was his farewell as he rose from the ground and left Mesfit in the woods. He searched for a soothing salve from the group when he returned to camp. He's going to be gone, isn't he? The next morning, Saren woke and immediately made his way to Mesfit's tree. To his horror, he was not there. Only the cloth that bound Mesfit remained. Gods. No! Saren's blood drained from his face, realizing that he had lost Mesfit. It was his fault, and now he would have to face Loren with that fact. He stood in the woods, regaining his senses and figuring out how to approach his mistress with the news. He wondered if he would be put to death. After a long time, he slowly made his way back to camp. He looked for Loren around the campfire, but instead found someone else. His heart stopped. Mesfit? Saren charged towards him, waving the cloth bindings. How did you... Others were milling around the campfire, so he whispered in a low voice. How did you escape? Your knots are amateur. Saren was offended, but it was the truth, on top of the fact that he purposely loosened the bindings. Then why escape only to stay? That's a good question, my dear boy. Is that the salve? Mesfit coolly gestured to the bottle still palmed in Saren's offhand. He had forgotten that he was still carrying it. Yes. The dark elf then reached out his hand and asked for it without a word. Saren studied him, not planning on giving it to him in the first place. But after considering how Mesfit wanted to be treated, Saren gave him the bottle. Mesfit took it and left. Saren was unsure what to think of him, if he should fear Mesfit or his escape, but what really mattered was that the tragedy of Mesfit running away had never happened, and for that moment Saren was safe from Loren's wrath. So Saren kept Mesfit's escape a secret and tied Mesfit's knot extra tight that night after, freeing his hands to eat once again. Unfortunately, Mesfit escaped Saren's knot each and every night, but each time he would be found in the camp the next morning. It perplexed Saren about what Mesfit was trying to prove by escaping his bindings just for the sake of escaping them. Was it a form of rebellion or resentment? Or was Mesfit trying to prove that he could be trusted? Huh. Well, my affection meter went up. You escaped my knot again. I am not sorry. Stop doing this. I should not be tied up in the first place. What should we do with you? Mesfit thought about it for a moment. I want a tent, like everyone else. I'm not sure that could be arranged without it being under guard. It would likely be Ray. No. No guard, especially not him. But you would run away. Would I? Yes. The dark elf gave Saren a sidelong look. Perhaps I found reason to stay. Whoa! Really? The way he did not break his gaze from Saren gave him pause. We'll see. And we're getting somewhere with him. Ah, I did not mean to click on him again. Alright, so we increased his affection meter to 2. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool. Alright, so where should we go next? We talked about Chambara, so maybe we should go and see if we can help her out. Actually, first let's return to the Dark Elves. Yeah, we had to return his son to them. Tabar almost dropped his staff when he saw his son walking towards him. Mesfit. Father, I'm sir... Tabar cut off Mesfit as he pulled his son's forehead down against his own. Demon's blood, forest elders, all the Cyclops of the sand. The one thing I would never forgive is if you left this world before me. They closed their eyes and went silent. Karen bid the group to leave the family alone. After some time, Tabar and Mesfit approached them on their own. Thank you for returning him to me. He says he is to go with you. We've decided that he requires strict supervision. We believe you'd provide better for him, but given his history... I understand. I know you're doing this so that he may live. Tabar made eye contact with Saren. Thank you. Please, take him. Keep him safe. Why ask that? I'm capable. Someday. Tabar patted his son on the shoulder and left him. Mesfit watched his father leave with puzzlement. Tabar would be happy to see his son every time they returned, but he would refuse Mesfit's request to steal him away from Loren. Tabar knew that he could no longer handle his son, but he reassured Mesfit that one day he would be able to return, but it was not that time yet. Alright. Anything to say to that, Mesfit? Nope. Alright, let's return here. Alright, so Saren and Loren have to be in the group pretty much at all times. We'll keep Mesfit in here. Yeah, I'm pretty content with my team as it is. Let's save really quick. Okay, so let me think about this. We were told we'd need to go to Grimoire in order to talk with the guys in charge in order to help alleviate the stresses of the war. Same with the Grand Tree. We've been here, we've been to Dark Elves, we've been to the Vorklair. We haven't been to the Truth Temple though. This and these 4 areas we could return to. Let's go to Chimbara's hut first because we kind of need to try and enlist her help since it's possible. But on second thought, I actually think I'm going to stop the video here because we are running low on time and God forbid I've been recording non-stop for the past like 5 or 6 hours, so I am tired and we're nearing the end anyway, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this playthrough so far. If you have, I encourage you to leave a like and comment as it helps and benefits the growth of the channel and tells me you guys are enjoying this playthrough. I'm Rye. Happy gaming everybody. See you soon.